Hello everyone, welcome to Startup Academy. So, in today's lecture, we shall be moving on forward in our history topic. That is, in the previous lecture, we started with the history and we moved on to the early nationalists, the assertives. Now, we will be moving on to the Gandhian era. In the previous lecture, we had also studied there were various, or we can say, there were few movements that started during the era, say, in the year, we can say. 1917 to 1947. 47 is the period where 47 is the period where you can say that most of the independence was attained. So it actually began in 1917, and how the things proceeded, what all happened between all these years that made us achieve the independence, we'll study in this lecture. So you can mark this lecture as very important because direct notes can come. So it's important for you to watch before going to exam, and obviously now also if you are watching, you can just note down the important points so that you can remember them while writing your answer. So you can write or you can name this unit as okay, I hope it will be visible. Gandhian era. Gandhian era, say from the year. So, marking of the year and representation of the years is important while answering your history question. So, let's move on to the main topic. Main topic starts with the introduction. What is basically the Gandhian era? So, it is nothing but the stage when Mahatma Gandhi came to India and he became a supreme leader. How did Mahatma Gandhi became a supreme leader? He became a supreme leader because he followed the policy. Two policies were there. First of all, non-violence would be there, and second was the involvement of the mass. Once the people or the high amount of public was involved in the movements, that means they supported the movements that he wanted. So that became the mass movement, and that's why he became the supreme leader. Why supreme leader? Because he followed the we can say he followed the strategy to gather the mass on the stage so that British people can know that Indians are not few people, but they are blunders in number. They can do blunders. Then we have the period extends from, it started from which movement? It started from 1917, that is Champaran Satyagraha. We will be studying about it, and it ended in 1947, where actually we uh, actually we got independence and we partitioned. Partition means the India was divided into two portions, that was Pakistan and one was Hindustan, obviously. Then we have Gandhian politics. जो politics पर based था, that you can mark it as non-violence was the basic thing. Obviously truth was there, discipline was there, and constructive social work. Constructive social work मतलब ऐसा कोई काम जिससे आप कह सकते हो कि something is coming out of it, you are getting the results, the outcome is there. ठीक है, so that is constructive social work. Then we have, it integrated political freedom with social reform and economic reliance. For the very first time, this was the time during the Gandhian era where people or the public from all sectors was involved, so that they could also participate, they could also raise their voice against the injustice they have been facing since years by the hands of the British rule. So they can also stand up, they can also fight for themselves in not a very brutal way, but in a very just and the non-violent way. So that's why it became very important. The first early experiments of Mahatma Gandhi, these are to be marked important because when Mahatma Gandhi came, that was the very early period that Mahatma Gandhi came. I told you that he was a great follower of Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Therefore, he followed him blindly, who was basically an assertive nationalist that we have studied in the previous lectures. So, according to Mahatma Gandhi ji, what he wanted was, he did not want to step directly into the movements. What he wanted was, people called him. He was staying, he was just chill, and he was just following the thought processes of the assertive nationalists. But then he got a call from various industry mills workers who were suffering from, like we can say, they were having wages problem, they were having the famine issues. So when he got a call, and when people talked to him directly, not call actually, those letters and all, those only could be referred to as call. So when when people talk to him directly, he contacted them actually, and after the actual contact, when they made, when Gandhiji officially visited them, gave them a paid them a visit, he met them, and he analyzed the issue, and he saw that people are actually suffering. So that was, supposedly we are talking about an industry. The industry had so many workers, but out of which one worker came out, he called Mahatma Gandhi. He told his situation, the situation of his colleagues and of himself, of course. And Mahatma Gandhi predicted that if certain things would continue to happen, then much exploitation could also occur of the people, which is not very good. Therefore, he opted certain methods so as to get that issue solved. So, उसी से related there are three movements. One is like Champaran Satyagraha, another one is Ahmedabad mill strike, and that is Kheda Satyagraha. So all these are important. This made Mahatma Gandhi believe that something has to be done because Britishers are being very cruel and very brutal. So starting with Satyagraha, they actually fought against the Inkatya system of indigo cultivation. Previously, in the previous lecture, I told what actually indigo cultivation required and how it was proceeding. Like if people are growing indigo, growing, back to back years they are growing, that means there would be heavy loss of, we can say, the fertility in the soil. Okay? So in Bihar, it was actually going on, which resulted in abolition of forced indigo farming and compensation to peasants. That means when the indigo cultivation was going on, that's why you will find that various field in Bihar is still barren because of that indigo cultivation. So what happened was indigo was being cultivated. We are talking about the Champaran Satyagraha. So indigo was being cultivated back to back. It was being cultivated, and farmers were forced to grow that indigo in their farms. Though there was not very high price of it, and growing required various hard work and of course money also, and they were not paid that much amount of money. What happened was, few of the workers called Mahatma Gandhi. He talked and he tried to resolve the matter. The outcome was nothing but there was abolition of forced indigo farming and the peasants were given the compensation. When we talk about Ahmedabad mill strike, it happened in 1918. So, in Ahmedabad mill strike, workers wanted high wages. High wages मतलब high कह सकते हो थोड़े extra salary they wanted, but Britishers being Britishers, they did not allow. So what happened was Mahatma Gandhi sat with the workers. They went for hunger strike. They stayed. Uh, they did not eat for few days, due to which the outcome came out that the British people agreed to the demands of the workers, and hence the wages were raised. Then we have the Kheda Satyagraha that again happened in 1918. So 1918 system has started, but 1919 system is quite important. Before coming to that, let's study about the Kheda system. Kheda system refers to peasants refuse to pay land revenue during famine. Famine means there would be conditions where the hunger would be there, drought would be there, nothing would be available to eat. So that is the situation where you're not getting anything to eat, anything to drink, nothing to survive on. So at that point, at that stage of life, the peasants refuse that we will not be able to pay the land revenue when we are not able to survive. So how can one pay? So that was their, we can say, the reasonable thing to stay back and stay back from paying the land revenue, but still Britishers being Britishers. So they called Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi talked to them, and then the land revenue collection was suspended for certain period of time of famine. So what is the significance? Significance is that Gandhian techniques in India were actually working. Means if the we can say, if there could be the suspension in revenue collection, or there could be a peaceful settlement between the Britishers and the workers, and there could be a result in abolition of forced indigo farming, It means that Gandhian era or Gandhian techniques were working in the industry or in the Indian counter. Therefore, people started to believe in Mahatma Gandhi and his technique, and this again drew mass towards himself. Now we are moving on to the 1919. 1919 case involved the Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act was nothing but the Britishers were given power. The British government was given power to arrest anyone without certifying what basis they are actually arresting or surrendering someone. Therefore, the people of India were arrested without any legal basis, without giving them to the priority or something like that. Nothing was given. Without a trial, they were arrested directly and put into the jail, even if they had any sort of suspension. ठीक है. So that basically legitimated that why are we being arrested without any reason. Like if we are walking casually also, then also we will get arrested. If we are gathered over here, like 2 3 people are gathered over here, then also we are being arrested. So this is of no use. Therefore, people, Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, now we are coming to, therefore people decided कि let's have a peaceful meeting so that we can decide what all would be there and everything, how everything has to be conquered. So in order to fight against the Rowlatt Act, people gathered peacefully. That was a peaceful gathering. So people gathered peacefully in order to discuss about that. But there was a general. You will write down the name of that general. You will be writing down who was the Lord General who actually wanted to fight, or who actually ordered his army to fire on the massacre. Okay, so that was the massacre actually. Okay. So what happened was people decided to actually sit and let's discuss what will actually what on what basis are they bringing in, or how can we deal with it. So they actually they just came in for a peaceful settlement and discussion. But what happened actually was leader came in. I won't be saying the leader because that you need to mention in the comment box. So leader came in. He asked his army to fire brutally on the crowd that was peacefully gathered, and that peaceful gathering was brutally shot, and things went out of the hole. So what happened was there was a well. People decided to climb up the walls and in order to jump out of it, but walls were again obstructed. There was a well. People ran over here and there. There was hither and thither everywhere. So people ran so that they could escape from those brutal firing. But many gave their lives while jumping into the well, while climbing over the walls. There were many people, there were many kids, families were there, families were gathered. And later on, what happened was the thing was revealed that because of the Rowlatt Act, the leader felt that something was about to happen. They were gathered with we can say arms and forces, and they were planning something against the British family. Therefore, the leader thought that in order to protect the British family, one need to come forward and shot them all. Therefore, everyone got shot. But this was not actually the thing. It is not mentioned in the books also. But if you will see, there's a movie named Kesari 2. So that has revealed what was there in the mind of the Britishers before firing that peaceful crowd. Therefore, this we can say this whole thing actually initiated a fire inside every Indian, that why was the peaceful gathering was killed by the hands of the British on no reason, and Rowlatt Act was thus got suspended. Though this was not the basic thing that could be taken as a surrendering thing from the side of the Britishers, but still we got a the Rowlatt Act got suspended. People were not satisfied with this. Therefore, few things came on forward. So we are moving on to the next moment. So 1919, you need to remember what happened in Jallianwala Bagh. And in order to get the whole history about it, you can watch Kesari 2. Kesari 2. So one of the best movies that has revealed most of the things, most of the characters, they have played great role. So I'm not here to motivate you to watch movies and all, but since we are learning history, we need to view things from all the eras so that we can grab most of it. And once you will be having the visual representation of the things in your mind, therefore they'll stay with you for a longer period of time than the bookish things that we are representing. Okay, now we are coming on to what, to the नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट. दिस लेड टू द नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट. रॉवल टैक्स के बाद आया था जलियांवाला बाग. रॉवल टैक्स चाहता था क्या, कि सब लोगों को आप बिना वजह से गिरफ्तार कर सकते हो, इवन ऑन द अगर कोई सस्पेक्ट भी है, दैट ऑल्सो यू कैन कैप्चर and keep in jail without any legal reason and without following any legal priorities. इसी के बाद जलियांवाला बाग ट्रेजेडी हुई थी, जिसके अंदर एक लीडर ने, लीडर का नाम यू विल बी मेंशनिंग इन द कमेंट सेक्शन, लीडर ने बोला था कि चलो चलो इन सब के ऊपर फायर कर दो, बिकॉज ये लोग सब हथियार के साथ बैठे हुए हैं, सो दैट दे कैन fight against the British. So in order to remove the Britishers from the Indian public, they are gathered over here. So इनका काम हमें आगे ठीक नहीं होने देना, इस वजह से इन सबको यहीं पर खत्म कर दो. This led to the greatest anguish among the Indian people. Therefore, the non-cooperation movement started, in which the Mahatma Gandhi was the supreme leader, because he was the one who could drew the masses in themselves. And again, masses were drawn after this tragedy, that is Jallianwala Bagh massacre tragedy. So coming on to the non-cooperation movement, when we talk about non-cooperation movement itself tells that what is meant by non-cooperation, that we will not be following your rules, your regulations, we will not be following any of those things. So that is basically non-cooperation movement states. It was launched after the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy and Revolt Act and Khilafat Act. Khilafat issue was nothing. Okay, Khilafat issue has its own issues. So it was basically led by Muhammad Khilafat, and there was a Turkish leader. People, say Islamic people, wanted him to be the leader, or say Khalifa. They wanted the Britishers to declare him the Khalifa, but Britishers being Britishers, they never wanted someone to become supreme. So what happened was, Khilafat Ali, Shaukat Ali, so these Ali members, or we can say the Ali community, gathered together and they started with the Khilafat issue. That is again the non-cooperation. Since Khilafat issue was on very small term, and they had a very distinct purpose, so that they could just eliminate the British from their policy. So they combined with the big or the larger scale, that is the non-cooperation movement. Hence, it has been included in the non-cooperation movement. So Khilafat movement was basically for the Turkish Khalifa to be declared as the Khalifa of the world, like the leader of the world. But no, because World War One was going on, the Britishers had their mind towards the World War One, and people inside were planning their eradication. Okay, then we have the programs. What were the programs? They were in non-cooperation. It included the boycott of school, colleges code, foreign goods, and titles. Titles were also abolished, and this abolition of title is best revealed in Kesari 2, where, chalo, let me not reveal it. Okay, this abolition of title would be, you can see in Kesari 2. Promotion to Khadi was there. That is why the Charkha system and the Mahatma Gandhi Khadi system came into the use. National education was there, and Hindu-Muslim unity could be majorly seen over here, because the Khilafat movement was there and Mahatma Gandhi was also working on the non-cooperation movement. Therefore, you could see the Hindu-Muslim unity being the top priority. Then we have the large-scale participation of the students, were there lawyers, were there peasants and traders. As I've told you, that people from every sector came on forward on the stage to participate, to showcase their own legacies, or their own anguish that they had um, in their hearts, deep into buried, because of the Britishers. So that could be seen. Then we have withdrawn from Chauri Chaura incident. Chauri Chaura incident again happened because there was a firing. This also you can mark it as important. Year 1922, there was a Chauri Chaura incident. What happened was, in year 1922, there were few leaders, Indian leaders they were, So they gathered, they decided to get that burned. What burned? Let's say, okay, let me just start with the history again. What happens is, non-cooperation was spread worldwide, not worldwide, actually nationwide. Non-cooperation was spread nationwide. Students were not going to schools, lawyers were not following their duties, and other workers are also not following their duties. Titles were abolished, therefore the people came back that we will not be giving into your demands and we will be standing with Indian public. उसी टाइम पर महात्मा गांधी स्टार्टेड हिज नॉन कॉपरेशन, दैट वाज द नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट कि हर जगह चल रहा था, तो दैट वाज द नेशन वाइड. तभी क्या हुआ, कुछ आतंकियों ने, आतंकी दिमाग वालों ने, असर्टिव नेशनलिस्ट आप उनको बोल सकते हो, क्योंकि वो आइडियोलॉजी फॉलो करते थे, दो दे वर नॉट असर्टिव नेशनलिस्ट बट बिकॉज दे फॉलोड द सेम आइडियोलॉजी कि जैसे तैसे करके वी नीड टू गेट इंडिया बैक. सो व्हाट हैपेंड वाज चौरी चौरा इंसिडेंट. एट चौरी चौरा पुलिस स्टेशन, देयर वाज अ पुलिस स्टेशन, पीपल started beating the British public. Reason being, obviously, Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. That was a massacre actually, and tragedy we are calling. So tragedy being tragedy. So that has affected people to a very lot or deep terms. So therefore, what they did was they went to the police station. They started beating the public. Sorry, the British government and the officials over there, and they burnt all the files and everything. They burnt the whole police station in a hole. Therefore, Mahatma Gandhi, being the follower of non-violence, when he heard about it, when he saw the consequences that people, his followers, are behaving on very violent techniques, they're following very violent techniques, and they have actually burnt the police station, including few policemen as well. Therefore, he went to the police. He said that I would like to surrender. I would like to surrender because my public is not following me, and I will be moving back from it. I do not want to hurt the sentiments of the British public, but I want to save the sentiments of my people. Therefore, I am stepping back. Then he withdrew the non cooperation movement. Once the non cooperation movement was withdrawn, he surrendered himself and was kept in jail for a certain longer period of time. So that was the history related to Chauri Chaura. That's why it marks it as important. Now coming on to the significance. Significance was those things that were being actively on the high pace. If Chauri Chaura would not have happened, then people would have got some other movement. But then those things that were very high pace, जो अपने अल्ट्रा लेवल पर थी, अब वो जा चुकी थी. They were basically demolished, due to which the significance realized that demoralization हो गया था एक्टिविस्ट का. Demoralization कैसे हो गया? महात्मा गांधी जी जब पीछे हट गए तो डीमोरलाइज हो गया, जब लीडर ने हाथ छोड़ दिया तो. Then we have the okay. Then we have the Swarajist and constructive program. स्वराज चाहिए हमें. We need our own kingdom. ठीक है, हमें खुद का राज चाहिए, तो that refers to Swaraj. So that says constructive program. It started in 2023 to 2027, क्योंकि 2022 में आप पढ़ के आए हो क्या? चौरी चौरा मूवमेंट. स्वराज पार्टी बनाई गई. किसने बनाई थी? सी आर दास ने, मोतीलाल नेहरू जी ने. लेजिस्लेचर की तरफ मूव कर रहे थे. दे वर into the polity of the India. So they decided to move politically. Then what happened was they aimed to construct colonial policies from within. Constructive program involved खादी चाहिए रहेगी. विलेज में आप इंडस्ट्रीज बना दोगे. एजुकेशन यू विल बी फॉलोइंग सैनिटेशन, रिमूवल ऑफ अनटचेबिलिटी. सो जितने भी अनडूएबल फैक्टर्स थे वो उन पर काम कर रहे थे, so that things could work out in that pace as well. This phase maintained the political continuity during the mass movement. Now, then we have the Simon Commission. You must have seen the various posters which say Simon Commission go back, Simon Commission go back, Simon go back, Simon go back. So we shall be talking about the Simon Commission now. Simon Commission started in 2027. This is not that important, but Simon part is important. So coming on to the Simon part. Simon Commission said that the legislature could be formed. You can form legislature, okay, but we shall not include any Indian member in the legislature. Legislature is what? Legislature is any government body, or we can say the political body, that is responsible for forming the laws or making the laws. since you are making the laws for the Indians, so at least you should include an Indian into it, so that that would be having a mindset of what his her people is facing. But Simon being Simon, British being Britishers, what they did was they did not allow the Indian to be a member of the legislature. So that's why this disintegrated the feelings, and the obviously the anguish also again initiated. It was on fire now. That's why people came on roads. They said, Simon, go back. So that's why you got to hear that Simon, go back, which presented no seat for an Indian member in the legislature. So what happened was Nehru report demanded dominion status and fundamental rights, at least fundamental rights to be given, and dominion status would be given. So they said, if you will be providing us these things up till this limit, like we want dominion rights, we want dominion status and we want fundamental rights. If you will giving into these two demand of ours up till the year, say it has 2029, up till the year 2029, then till then we would be following, otherwise we shall move on forward to our demands if you will not give them into our demands. So what happened was Lahore session was there, and the demands were not met as usual. Therefore they asked to declare themselves as Poon Swaraj, means complete independence. On 26 January 1930 we celebrated Independence Day after the Poon Swaraj session. Then we have the civil disobedience movement. Civil disobedience movement started with the Dandi March. Civilians were involved in it. Civilians, normal public was also involved, and Dandi March session got started. Once the Dandi March session got started, it said that we will not be paying the tax of the salt. Therefore, we would be using the salt. Hence, the laws were broken, and laws were broken, and salt satyagraha movement started. So salt satyagraha movement started because salt being the priority for every individual. Like if you are having food, and having food is an uh, integral part of every human's life, therefore people came on forward. Mahatma Gandhi came on forward, many people joined him. They marched to they marched for say a few days, and they picked up a salt. By picking up a salt, that marked the importance of civil disobedience movement. That means we will not be following your laws and orders, do whatever. So people refused to pay taxes, boycotted goods. Again, the non-cooperation movement took a new turn into in the form of civil disobedience movement. After that act that previously we studied about, that was the Simon Act. After that act, Gandhi-Irwin Pact was also signed, but it led to the temporary suspension. Then communal award were introduced. Communal award से और भी ज़्यादा नुकसान हो गया. That means people would be having separate electorates. Britishers को अब समझ में आ गया था, if Hindu and Muslim community would be together, we will be out of the state. In order to remain in the state, let's separate their electorates. Electorates would be separated, like everyone would be given the separate party. And since everyone would be given the separate party, therefore there would be a sort of separation and the competition. Due to that competition, there would be fight among the public, and hence we can enjoy. So Pune Act was also there for the reserve seats. The significance is that women participation was there, international attention was there, and the economic nationalism was also introduced. Now coming on to the Government Act of India, that was the first act made, Government Act of India, which tells us that provincial autonomy was there and federal structure were there. These structures and everything we shall be discussing in detail in polity. Introduced expanded franchisee and responsible government. Elections of 1937 bought Congress ministries. So this was the first act that led to the bringing of the constitutional ministries. Ministries worked on the education, civil liberties, and rural development. It provided administrative experience to the Indian leaders. So that's how the government of India actually propagated in India and worked in the favor of the Indian public. With the Quit India movement, we shall meet you in the next lecture. Till then, keep watching and stay blessed. Thank you.
Startup Academy presents Lakshya 2027, an exclusive batch designed only for serious ISS aspirants.